It is 8 o'clock. It is Tuesday night. Do you know where your DJ's at? I know where I'm at. I'm here with you. Yes, it's the DJ Roundtable yet again. Another beautiful night, another beautiful show, along with some great DJs here tonight. Dwayne just got a chance. He came in the skin of his teeth right in the beginning of taping. Dwayne, welcome, and welcome everyone here. Jeff, Hunter, and of course DJ Brantley. Now Matt may be in later. He's probably got a customer meeting or he's making dinner, one of the two. Those California guys are always on their own time. So I was perusing the interwebs, like most of us do all the time, and I saw a nice posting on a social media site about an incident that happened to a DJ. And according to this DJ, he was in the middle of a set and another DJ came in and unplugged him from his audio and unplugged him from his power to plug his stuff in to start his set. Now, again, that's basically all I read. That's all the information I have as of right now. I don't know what it was. He was over in time, whatever. I'm not saying that part. What I'm saying right now is if you were DJing somewhere, be it a wedding, be it a party, and you had your stuff set up and it was a changeover for the next event, or you're the next DJ coming in, because I just ran into this a few weeks ago, coming into a room where there's a DJ there already who is already set up because of the fact that he's still on the old event, and the venue, it's a multi event venue, likes to swap between, not give you much time for setup. You have to wait for them to take their stuff down so you can go put your stuff up. And thank goodness his stuff wasn't an elaborate setup. What do you do? What do you do when you're in that? Do you talk to your DJ? Do you try to say, hey, I need so much time to take down? Or if they started to set up around you, what would you do? So cool thing. I'm going to start with you, Hunter. Have you run into that? And if so, what do you do?
Well, I never run to that because at most of my events, I am the only DJ there, so I don't have to worry about that. But if I did run into that, I would be nice enough to say, hey, I need to come in and set up. Can you please, kind of stop what you're doing, take it down, not to be rude like that, like what just happened, because that's just being completely rude and inconsiderate of that DJ who's in the middle of playing and in the middle of playing a set. So if that does happen, I'll just be polite and ask them that I need to come in and set up.
Okay. So, Mr. Dixon, have you run into a venue that you are coming in as a second DJ, or have you been at a venue that you have another DJ coming in after you and they are, want to change out, swap out? What do you do?
I never ran into that as a DJ, but as a musician, I ran into that, especially a church musician where we all share the same equipment. The only pet peeve I have is just when the drummer comes, especially if it's at my home church and the drummer comes and want to change all the cymbals and all this other crap instead of, just keeping everything simple so the next person, it doesn't mess up the next person. But other than that, as far as the DJ, I never ran into that, or just always fortunate to have enough room where we can kind of like move, make it smooth adjustment where we not unplugging or getting in each other's way.
And that's always the hard part, because again, if you're coming in, it's between the two events. So you got people from the first event trying to get out. You may have some people from the new event trying to come in to set stuff up, balloons or whatever, and it's always that pandemonium going on, that stuff is changing around. The staff could be changing out because they're switching shifts, because they already had their morning shift because they did their morning afternoon stuff. Now you get the afternoon evening people coming in, so you have a bunch of different things going on at the same time. and what you can do with bands and stuff like that, especially with churches, or even bands, period, when you have multiple bands on the same stage, that's hard, especially if they're going to have, you have your drum set, someone else has their drum set, and they want to bring everything in and take everything out. That's even, more difficult, I would probably say, than a DJ. But I'm going to ask.
But yeah, but I was going to say also, I came close to something like that Saturday at
Okay.
my wedding, where with this venue, it was kind of like shaped funny. So they had to have their ceremony inside because of the weather. And so they had to change everything. So where they had me setting up, I would have been in the shots for, for the ceremony. So they had me just set up my a speaker off to the side. I had the Bluetooth everything for the ceremony. But as soon as the ceremony was over, and also they had cheers in the middle of I guess you could say, the venue, where as soon as the ceremony was over, those cheers, everybody in the cheers had to move, and they had wheeled in the dinner cheers. And then I had to, like, in between, try to, during cocktail hours, set up for the reception. So that was the closest I came to the situation that you're speaking about, having to move and then trying to maneuver around everybody, trying to get into their places and people walking in and out.
Definitely.
So
And-
it's always interesting.
And the best thing to do is just to be patient for that DJ to finish up their set and go on in.
Oh yeah, and the one thing is that the question is always, when I go into a place and they're switching out, staff switching out stuff, chair covers. It's again, it's a lot of things going on at the same time, because you have one event that's ending, whatever it is, be it a party, be it a wedding, be it whatever, switching over to your event that you're trying to do. And you're trying to set things up, especially if you get some of the venues where you guys set up lighting. The other DJ has up lighting already up, or has a photo booth, or has this. I've run into before having only 40 minutes for setup for everything, because the fact that the other DJ leaving the venue took a long time to take everything down because they had a big, huge setup. So that's one of the things when I see some of these guys with big, huge setups, I always wonder, if you're an early person, we all try to be quick, but if you're not quick enough, what happens? So I got to ask Jeff. Jeff, you have a very similar setup to me as far as a booth and TV and stuff like that. What do you do if you had to set up everything and you have another DJ there, or you're the DJ leaving in the morning and you have the afternoon DJ coming in? What do you try to do?
Well, I've never dealt with another DJ on top of me or behind me, whatever. But, the closest I've come to that would be at the Marriott a couple of years ago. We were doing a reunion, and I was told by the coordinator, yeah, come set up, 4 o'clock. It's a 7 o'clock start time. So I get there at 4 and walk into the room, and I'm immediately approached by 3 security guards ready to take me down. And they were all, and I'm like, what's going on in here? It was like 100 football players. So the Louisville football team had spent the night and was eating a late lunch that afternoon before they played Wake Forest over in Winston-Salem. And nobody told me that. So, and they're very private about their dinners, apparently, so you can't interrupt them. So I'm like, hey, misunderstanding here, calm down. I'm not trying to steal your pregame workout secrets or anything, but, just miscommunication. But it was another hour and a half before I was able to get into that room. And that left me with only a little over an hour to set up, which I was able to do it, but I wasn't able to troubleshoot a couple of things. Somebody tripped over a power cord, and when I got everything plugged back in, my computer, I did not know it at the time until about 10 minutes into the set, started having issues. So, things like that throw you off, and you just want to have your time that you're used to setting up, and, just double checking, troubleshooting, whatever you got to do. And whenever that is interrupted, things can go bad. So, it's good to give everybody their allotted time that they need to set up. And if you know going in, hey, I've only got an hour to set up, then, you trim down your, what you're bringing, or the size of your setup to fit that setup time. And that should be known going in before you sign a contract, what's going to be available. So, but yeah, it's just being courteous. And, if you're going to be, trampled on by somebody coming in behind you, or somebody late getting out in front of you, just do the best you can, and, work with them.
Well, that's one of the things also being on time and being early on time. If you're supposed to start at, 4:00, being there at like 3:30ish, that we can kind of scope out what's going on before you're supposed to load in at 4, and you kind of know, and having that contact when you get there and say, hey, I'm, your contact is Jim. Hey, Jim, I'm here already. I'm a little early. But this way, Jim can say, hey, you may have to wait a little bit. You can stage here with your equipment. And we've done that plenty of times. Tracy runs in real quick when I start opening the van up and getting carts out and stuff like that. And she's like, okay, I talked to so-and-so and we can roll in, or no, we got stage, or what we have to do. And cool thing, do you do that? Do you walk into a place and a little earlier and ask, hey, is it cool to load in, or you just load in?
I just load in and I set up. Usually we get there, I guess, an hour. Like, I did a 70th birthday party and I was there like an hour before the party started, and I only had a little time to set up before the main guests start to arrive and I start playing music. So I just go in and set up.
So DJ Brantley, since you have also a nice big setup but the nice thing, you have the Toadmatic booth, which you can roll in and roll out. If you had another DJ, and I'm sure with the one beautiful venue you're at all the time on the river, you've run into events in the morning and you coming in the afternoon, or vice versa. What do you do when there's that switch over between you and another DJ?
I've been lucky. I haven't had to deal with that ever at a wedding.
Really?
And I think part of that is my, okay, when I check in with a venue, and I will be very clear with them that I need at least 2 hours and 30 minutes of uninterrupted setup time. And most venues, when I call them, make that call to them, I should say, early in the week or a couple of weeks prior, they kind of realize I'm not playing around. They realize that this DJ knows his stuff and is very serious about what he's doing. So when I get that, if they're like, no, I'm like, then we need to talk to my couple. Let's get them on a conference call. And I've never had any problem really bad about that. I had one very bad venue manager, but who's since been relieved of her duties at a venue not far from me, which was at the time, and still in my opinion, kind of a shame that she was such a poor venue manager, because it's a great little venue, honestly, closer to my house than the Cargill Room or Celebrations, and it's on the Mississippi River. So when your manager isn't up to stuff and like that, now, it makes everything just, like places I want to avoid. But on the other hand, club sets, when you are sharing nights with DJs, oh yeah, you're going to run into, Napoleon syndrome. I won't use inappropriate terms here, but let's just say the ego gets in the way and they want to throw one or two more songs in. And for the most part, I really don't care, because a lot of the guys I'll do back-to-backs or, share a night with, I'm friends with. So go ahead, have at it. I mean, the other part of it is I'm the oldest DJ in the club circuit around me, if not on this side of the state. So go ahead, kids, have some fun. I'll get my licks in whenever. But yeah, when you're doing it, the club thing, some DJs do want to keep pushing on. So that's the only place I've ever run into that.
Yeah, and it's a hard thing, because again, your clubs are a whole different album, a whole different area, a whole different animal. You're walking in maybe with just a controller and a laptop, or just a laptop, or just a thumb drive, because you're used to the equipment there. And if that's the case, you're trying to plug into a house audio system and whatever, Again, this one sounds like a club kind of deal. One guy is doing one thing and our DJ coming in. I don't know. Did he run out of time? Was it supposed to be switch time? Was it miscommunication? Again, there's not a lot of information there. I saw on the post, and I read the post, earlier today while I'm doing other things. So I didn't get a chance to dwell or ask questions or that because I had tons of questions on that. But I'm like, I've run into it again. Just ran into it a few weeks ago. One of the venues I did a wedding. Our wedding was 150 people. The event before us, I don't know what it was, birthday party or bridal shower or baby shower, whatever it was. And there was a DJ there. He had a small setup. He was out. We had our stuff staged right in the main hallway on 2 carts. Tracy and I were there. I was just sitting, waiting. And once the other guy came out, he goes, "Hey, I'm good, thanks." I'm like, "Oh, okay, cool." Tracy went in and checked. "Hey, can we come in?" They're like, "Yeah, come on in." Roll everything in, start setting stuff up. But it's one of the things that I always feel it's a hard thing. So Matt, thank you for coming. Unfortunately, you're a little bit late to the show, but I know you got stuff going on with dinner and customers, and I don't know if your girlfriend's there or someone's there you're talking to. If I see you talking to someone,
she's not.
We gotta bring your girlfriend on one of these times because we gotta get a lot of great information from her.
Anyway, yeah, I'm here. I was getting my workout on at the gym, and
No, I know everyone here has stuff to do. They have family and stuff, especially with Thanksgiving being this coming Thursday. A lot of things going on. So the synopsis right now of what's going on, and the question is, if you are changed out during that change out with another DJ, you're at a facility that has multiple events going on during the day. They have an event before you have your event, or you're the early morning DJ or afternoon DJ and you're swapping out with the evening DJ. How does that work? How do you do that? Is that something you try to communicate? You try to work with them? And the reason why I say that is because I was reading a post on Facebook, on social media, that a DJ was in the middle of a set and their DJ came in and started unplugging the other DJ's audio and power to plug their stuff in, which again sounds like to me like a club thing versus a wedding or event. But again, I've run into at certain venues that you have a morning or afternoon event and you're the evening event and you have a DJ in the room that is basically coming out when you're walking in. How do you handle that? How do you get around that? How do you do that? What are your go-tos?
I've never run into that, I don't think. The only time is when I've done a couple events where we do like back-to-back sets, or I've DJ'd with, like, I DJ'd for one of my buddies, one of my DJs sort of weddings earlier this year in October, and he wanted to throw down like a little half-hour set here and there, so we just connected both of us to the same analog mixer and we're able to kind of match BPM and just fade one channel, fade up the other. But I don't think I've ever run into, like, I mean, back in my college days, I used to DJ a couple clubs, and where the DJ would set up, it was always a mess. And it was always like whoever like just left it last, just, they took their controller and left, and it was always just a mess. So I would actually take the time to organize it because I can't work in a messy workspace or cables everywhere. But other than that, I don't really run into that.
Okay, you're a lucky one. But I know, Bradley, you because you work in clubs, how many times you come into a booth and the booth is just covered with empty, Monster cans, pop cans, whatever, bottles, drinks, whatever, food, half-eaten food left over? How many you go in there, you find stuff like that, a half-eaten sandwich or something?
Things I've learned in the years I've been at this, if there's a refrigerator in the DJ booth, just don't. Unless the club specifically tells you we've put stuff in there for you tonight, leave that refrigerator alone. Don't open it. If you see a trash can in it, generally speaking, just take your care, don't touch it. It's probably the filthiest thing in the entire venue. Yeah, I keep, one of those wipes in my backpack. So if the booth is, slightly bad, yeah, cool, I'll wipe it down. If I get in there and it's like a war zone went off, like looks like the set of a 70s porno, I'm going to the bar and being like, give me some bar rags and a spray cleaner. We're going to clean this up before I even think about starting. Because the last thing I want is to like set my hand on the counter and be like, have my hand stick to it like my shoes stick to the floor of the club at the end of the night. Yeah, most of the clubs I go to get that bad.
Well, the other thing, you don't want it to be like on the set of Ghostbusters. You can get slimed. You're pulling your hand up and get this trail of slime coming off. So that's never good. So, Dwayne, have you ever run into, when you do a gig somewhere, be it either in a band or when you DJ, people leave things behind? It could be batteries, it could be empty pop bottles, it could be a half-eaten sandwich, it could be a piece of gear behind. Have you ever run into that? People left stuff behind in the venue that you're at?
Nope. Because
No?
most of the time, it's usually clean, and they expect it to be clean when I leave too. So fortunately, I haven't dealt with that.
You're lucky.
Mhm.
How about you, Jeff? Have you run into a place you run into that the previous DJ that was there left you a lovely present?
Not that I can recall. No, it's usually been pretty clean. The worst places are barns that are legit barns that are just dusty and dirty. And you bring in your nice clean gear, and when you leave at the end of the evening, you look down at the gear and it's just covered in dust. I hate that, but
Yeah.
that's part of the biz. You gotta learn to deal with it. Clean it
That's why
off
I
when
don't
you get home.
That's why I don't DJ outside or in a little town called Victorville. It's what we call the North Valley people. Basically, California, once you go past the mountains over the Cajon Pass, it's just all bad. It's windy and dusty and dirty and gross.
I know what you're talking about, Jeff. Because I DJ'd my aunt's, my aunt uncle's 40th wedding anniversary, and I was DJing outside, and all my stuff was covered in dust.
Yep, I don't do that.
And
I will toss this out there though. When I show up to a wedding venue and I see paint missing from the wall where you can obviously tell a DJ gaffed something there, nicks, bangs in the drywall, and all wallpaper. Before I even start dropping any equipment, like really setting up, I will pull the venue manager over and be like, yo, this is not me. I don't know if you know this is here, but I had nothing to do with this. And that's another thing that's helped me. One, I'm always careful with my stuff and don't leave a trace, anything like that. But I always tell the venue, and if it's something I can fix for them real quick or help them out with, by all means, I'm willing to go and do that. But that's one thing that other DJs do a lot. And I think I posted it a while back when I was at Cargill. Some DJ really messed up the trim around the entire back edge of the wall at the Cargill room. So I know they'll probably wait until the end of the season when their events on the weekends die off and to repaint and all that. But they just redid most of that room earlier in the spring.
Well, I feel that most venue managers and owners should have at least a quart of their color of the wall spackle and some repairs. They can do basic repairs. If it's something major, they should be going after whoever damaged it last and saying, hey, your insurance needs to pay. This is why having insurance is an important thing. Hunter, have you run into anyone leaving anything behind for you? Any presents, batteries, beer bottles?
Nope. It's all been clean. Nope, it's all been clean. And most of the places I DJ is all clean. And like when I DJ the bar, like right behind my house, it's all clean. Everything is clean. And so I never really run into that stuff.
I guess it's just, maybe it's a Chicago thing, but I've run into people leaving batteries behind, AA batteries. I've had people leave behind bottles, like beer bottles. I'm like, some guests that the DJ moved or is the DJ. Hopefully the DJ's not drinking when they're working, but again, different things, different people. But one of the things I always carry, and sometimes you see on social media when I post pictures on social media, you'll see a container with a red top. And this is just basically alcohol wipes. Whoop, this is a little too bright. There we go. 70% alcohol wipes. I have these all the time. Wipe things down, wipe down microphones after they're done with guests. The reason why is keep fingerprints off of it. Keep, I don't know, they have alcohol in their hands from their drinks. They have a sticky drink, or they have barbecue sauce in the meatballs or whatever. So always wipe down like the microphone handles, wipe down everything. I always have a few of these with me. The great thing to buy, you can buy them from Walmart. You can buy them from anywhere. Amazon, you can find them. Again, just a tub. They're alcohol, 70% alcohol. It'll kill most of your germs and viruses, but alcohol will not harm your equipment on the most part. Just make sure you test a little bit first if you've never used one before, but it's a great thing to have, especially people leaving presents behind. You never know what they leave behind. And especially sometimes in the places, I don't know what it is, especially a flip. During that flip, things can happen. People leave things, people forget things, and it's always crazy. Now, here's a question for you guys, for the room, and I am going to raise my hand first. I am guilty of this. Tracy and I just did this about a month and a half ago. And it's a venue we know very well. We know the owner very well. He actually got a hold of us about halfway through our ride from there back home. We left behind a piece of equipment. We left actually our projector there in the case at the venue. And he got a hold of us that night. We're halfway home, and he said, "Hey, you left your projector here." Tracy, like, "Hey, I'm going up that way anyways to get her hair." Her friend does her hair, and she went up there to go to get her hair done. She's like, "Well, I am going to grab it then." So it was like a day or two afterwards. So again, I'm sure it has happened, that we left something behind. Is there something that you left behind at a venue that you had to go back and get? So I'm going to start with Hunter. Is there anything that you've left behind that you had to go back
Hunter
and grab?
remembers everything.
No,
doesn't
but
forget
I almost forgot my flash drive, but I found it inside my computer bag. So yeah, I don't really leave anything behind. I thought I lost my flash drive that had the entire mix of the night. I was DJing a wedding a couple of years ago at a very small church called the Gracelide Church. And this was for a friend of mine who I went to church with. And I almost forgot the flash drive, but I found it in my bag. So yeah, I don't really leave anything behind.
Hunter's the only person I know that remembers the model number of his speaker stands. He's the last person that's gonna forget something behind.
I was hoping to get him on something. Come on.
Nope. No.
So Matt, have you forgot something you had to go back
Of
and
course.
grab?
Of course. I leave a bunch of stuff at home all the time too. Just this weekend, I had to drive an hour at 1 a.m. or 12 a.m. to go get the cold sparks that I forgot to bring for the day after the wedding in Palm Springs for the rest of our crew. My girlfriend drove all the way out to Moreno Valley, an hour her direction, hour my direction, and dropped off the sparklers late at night, which if I thought about it more and I didn't realize it until 8 p.m. right before I was about to start DJing, I know people in Palm Springs that I could have just borrowed some from. But I didn't think about that. So yes, I forget things all the time. I have ADHD. It's part of being an ADHD person. I don't make checklists. They're up in here. Forget stuff is just part of it. It's rare, but it happens. Luckily, I have multiple people with keys to my storage unit. And I know people nearby. And yeah, have I left stuff at a venue? That's more rare, but I've definitely left like gloves before. I've left a mic stand behind once.
Yeah,
I left base plates for my truss. I left those behind once. All of it's been recovered. I've never fully lost something. Yeah, but yeah, it's at the end of the night, you're tired, you're exhausted, you're trying to get out of there. You lean something against something and load up your trailer, and you're just like, out of there, and you don't even think about it until the next morning. You're like, oh crap. So
Yeah, especially again, it was us because we did a gobo and the projector, we did everything by us. We had a projector in its case against a wall where we had the tripod. Tracy grabbed the tripod, and I didn't grab the projector, and put it on the cart. And we had everything on the cart. We got everything on like 2 carts, got it all out and stuff like that. And again, we're halfway home, and all of a sudden I got a phone call. So, Jeff, my friend, have you run into forgetting something you had to go back for, or you forgot?
Not really. I'm pretty good about remembering what I brought. I have a system that, like when I'm packing up at the end of a gig, I put everything in a case. Everything I own has a case or a cover, and so I will put it in a pile or an area. I will stage it out so I will know this is packed up and ready to go, and I'll put it in an area. So if my son's helping me, I'm like, okay, everything is packed and in its case and accounted for. Let's put it right here, and then we'll build a big pile there, and it's usually right next to the cart. And so that way we know, if everything is in its case, it's ready to go. So yeah, and then the other thing is it fits in the Suburban, like it's like it's like fitting Jenga, it's pulling parts from different pieces, and if you've missed something because it will not fit properly. If there's a hole left, you've left a case somewhere. And I'm usually pretty good at home packing up. I usually try not to. Easily double look at everything and stage it. For me, I've got everything in the basement of my house, and I have a golf cart that I drive around the driveway and down into the backyard, into the back door, the basement door, and we bring everything up that way. We bring everything up to the driveway and load it into the Suburban. And so I can stage in the basement everything I'm taking for that particular gig. So I try not to leave anything that way. So that usually helps. But yeah, I try not. Yeah, the only time I've ever left something is in my video production days. I've left a light stand or a light head somewhere laying around. I have to go back the next day to get it. So it happens.
So now I got a question for you. Are you in one of those cool towns that you have a golf cart they allow you to drive golf carts on the road around there just in town?
No, we're not in town. We're on the county. We're in a community. We're in a neighborhood that, has a lot of golf carts. So it's, whenever like somebody in a neighborhood has a party, you'll drive by and then see 12 golf carts in their yard and maybe 2 or 3 cars parked out in the street. So it's kind of the way this community is. Yeah. Everybody drives their golf cart down to the pool in the summertime. So it's one of the reasons to have it.
Yeah. Hunter, you drive a golf cart around your area, don't you? You go to Dunkin' Donuts with your golf cart, right?
No, it never leaves the neighborhood.
But you go to Dunkin' Donuts with your golf cart?
I don't have a license, so just in a car. The golf cart has never left my neighborhood. Well, I actually wanted to take it to that gig over on Oak Grove Road, literally behind my house.
Why didn't you?
Get a trailer, hook it up to my golf cart, take it out to the bar.
There's a town, the village of Maple Park, which is west of me. It's in DeKalb. That's King County or DeKalb County. I think that's DeKalb County. It's closer to DeKalb. It's almost by DeKalb, which is where Northern Illinois University's at. And I've done gigs out that way. In the village of Maple Park, they allow in the village you drive your golf cart around. So if you're in the village, Maple Park, they have a little downtown area and stuff like that, you'll see golf carts. They have parking spaces for golf carts and parking spaces for vehicles. So you'll see like, I have an F350, you'll see an F350, and next to it, you'll see a Yamaha golf cart. And then you'll see a side-by-side. Then you'll see another SUV. It's kind of funny, but I think that, for small areas that, either battery or gas, whatever you decide to have, you want to drive, your side-by-side mule there. Hey, great. God bless. Not a problem. The municipality allows it. The area allows it. Great. And having a golf cart to take equipment from one side of the house to the other side, Jeff, that's just genius and a beast right there, man. That is just.
Hey, it's necessity. When you get to be my age, you use every bit of advantage you can.
Yep, I don't blame you. So, Mr. Dixon, do you happen to have a golf cart and you drive around a golf cart around your area, or do you just beast out anything, or have you ever forgot anything at a venue?
Kind of, sort of. Mine's usually come when we all try to rush out because we have to be out by a certain time, and then people offer to help, and then someone either takes something mistakenly, or we think they say they have put it in the car, and then while I'm driving, I'm reaching for it, and it's not there, like my camera for one wedding, and I left my block to my controller at my first wedding. But other than that, all of my stuff that I leave behind is either I have a back-to-back either at school or someplace else, and I leave like a cable or a mic stand either at my house. And like last week, I left my mic stand sitting outside the school, and I didn't realize it till something that's told me that I woke up in the middle of the night. It's like 2:30, and then I ran back to the school, and it was still outside the school building because I had a bunch of stuff I was loading up with drums and all this other stuff. And I set the stands by the school thinking I was going to remember to go back, and I forgot it because I did what I normally do, just load in all the big stuff. And my mind was like, all right, going to the next thing until late at night. And I had to run back and get the stands. Good thing they was still there. But other than that, I don't usually forget anything. It's just usually when I'm rushing.
Usually, most of the time, most venues usually, when they see something they know that belongs to, not to them, belongs to the DJ, usually pretty good about that. So, DJ Brentley, have you run into forgetting something at a venue, or do you use your golf cart to run around and get stuff?
I'm pretty OCD anal about how I handle my equipment. And that starts before I even leave to, for the wedding or gig I'm going to. That I've got to, I go through what I need for my setup and what parts I need, what equipment I need to bring, and I will make a full-on list on the top of my file that I'm bringing for the day. In case everything goes wrong and I have to, play everything off of iTunes and everything, goes belly up, I still have a hard copy of everything so I can pull songs that, if I lose my, apps across the board, I can make it work. But on that, I will make note of, okay, they want white setup. So which facade I want, based on where I'm setting up. Am I up high? Am I down low on the floor? If I'm, down low on the floor, I'm definitely bringing a plexi facade. If I'm up higher, I'll use scrims. So I have two different dragons for that. If I'm using, like if I'm at celebrations, for example, I've got my two white Icoas, but then I need my black subs on the side to fill the rest of the room. All that, and I will have a note of everything I need to bring with me. So when I'm packing it, I'm good to go. But now at the end of the night, when I'm breaking everything down, once everything's in its cases, obviously I know everything's supposed to go in the van anyway. But as I'm putting it away, I can cross it off once again to make sure that everything is there. And the one time I accidentally grabbed like a wrong bag of, light stands, I just made do. I had to figure out how to work it, and it was just changing a couple bolts that, because I have the Toad and because I have that rolling rat case, I've got a few extra fittings in there I can switch out and make things work with.
Allergy getting to you still?
I smoke too much.
Oh, see, allergies are still hanging out here in Chicagoland, so I apologize
Oh,
for
yeah.
speaking earlier, but
We're freezing overnight up here. It's great.
Oh, we're supposed to be freezing overnight too. We're at 37 degrees, so it's like it shouldn't be around, but it still is. Like, damn, man, you know. Oh, you gotta love it. So this is gonna be a question. Next question for the group here is, what is your normal setup time? I know DJ Brantley, you said 2.5 hours for your setup time. You try to get, and if you run to a venue, and I've run into it before, it says no, you have an hour because we have an event before, or we have something that's going on, or the owner says that's all I give is 1 hour for setup, 1 hour for takedown. What do you do then?
Straight out, call the couple. Let's talk. We got to talk. And again, I will offer to do a conference call with the venue owner. Just like when I was at that one venue in Loyal, Wisconsin, Rustic Occasions, I'm like, yeah, you're going to move it, or we're going to go talk to the couple. The trash can thing. And I'm like, we can go talk to them right now if you really want to do this. So they moved it, you know, it got moved away eventually by me. But yeah, when it comes to somebody's day, I'm not going to take those chances of anything going wrong. And if a couple, you know, if a couple wants my good setup, I'm going to make sure I provide all of them if I can. Again, Rustic Occasions and Loyal is a very big example of one venue I don't want to play with.
Okay. What about you, Matt? What do you do if, you know, what's your normal setup time? And if a venue said, hey, you only have 1 hour for setup, 1 hour for takedown, that's it.
I tell them to piss off. No. So here's the thing. When venues say that, a lot of times they're not being realistic or honest with you. Because I've had venues say that we're only allowed an hour, and I've showed up 3 hours ahead of time and had no issues. So I think half the time what it is they'll have like the couple's contract will only be for an hour of setup, but if you show up 2 hours ahead of time and they don't have an event there, why aren't they let you going to set up? So most of the time we could work with it. There's certain venues that do have a strictly limited time, so to those couples I say, hey, we can only do this package. We just can't do anything bigger, or you're going to have to adjust your contract with the venue because they're strict about it. But yeah, I mean, it's in my contract when they sign it, you know, that we show up 3 hours ahead of time. So if I, you know, get an email the week of from the venue saying, oh, the earliest you can get in is 2 o'clock, I usually call the venue and be like, hey, do you have an event going on? If not, why can't I just, well, I say it nicely, but, you know, any problem if I just show up early? And most of the time, there's never an issue. But every once in a while, I'll say, oh, okay, well, let me talk to the couple. That would be tough on time. But, I mean, we can do a pretty big setup in 2 hours and just run the photo booth during cocktail hour instead. Do any finishing touches during cocktail hour. But, you know, yeah, refer back to the couple.
It's hard because I run into that the venue owner is like, no, you have 1 hour, that's it. And you know, you can't come early because I don't want to pay for staff. I'm not opening the door up, I'm not doing anything. If you want to talk to the couple and they adjust their time for the start time, then I adjust the time back. I've had a couple owners do that of venues because the fact that, you know, they're charging for their time. And if someone changes their time, says, hey, you know what, I'm going to start the ceremony, supposed to start at 3, I'm going to start at 4 because my DJ needs more time, they may say, okay, fine, great. Then they go to you and go, hey, well, you owe us this money, or the couple still got to pay for that time. It's a hard one. It's a very hard one. I've run into that. And, you know, especially you need a couple hours for setup. It's difficult.
I will throw it back out there that once I come across those venues, I won't go back. There's at least a half dozen in my area that one is, and like I said, one's a great venue not far from me, closer to me than the Cargill Room, that again, their management staff just has their heads up their tuchuses. And especially, and this is one of the other venues I've called in the past, hey, they ordered my big setup, I'm going to need 2.5 hours total time, including me changing and hitting start and hitting play. Venue manager there was like, yeah, I'll be there. Great. I show up and she's not there. And intentionally, the other bartender wouldn't let the bartender from the part of the other part of the building wouldn't let me in. And I'm like, seriously? So when it comes to that, one, I'm just not going to, I just will not go back. And it may have cost me a couple weddings here and there. And I've told a couple straight out that, this is why I won't go there. Or there's another venue that, because of a couple DJs in our market, and I know exactly which couple take forever to load out, they said the DJ has a half an hour to be out of the building or off property by 12:30. They did this middle of last season and applied it to any wedding they had booked going forward, kind of infringing on the contract of the couple. And that's when one couple actually said, did you hear this? She's like, yeah. And she was a wedding vendor herself and was like, yeah, because we're 19 or 24 months out, I think at that time, we can cancel with no fee and get all of our deposit returned. And they canceled and moved to Celebrations, actually. So there's another venue like that I just, no, absolutely not. You don't have, the dedication it takes to make the couple's day flawless at the, and not at the expense of somebody else.
I've had a venue that a couple times, a couple different venues, basically say, hey, we're going to, give you only a half hour, 45 minutes for teardown. If it's longer than that, we charge the couple for overtime. Because again, venue owners, they want to keep staff as low as possible and get the staff out of there as quickly as possible. And unfortunately, there are some DJs out there who take hours and hours and hours and hours to tear down versus, hey, you know what? I know this venue here. I need to be out quickly. Now, with you with the Toad booth, I'm going to go back to you, DJ Brentley. With the Toadmatic booth, you should be pretty quick because your setup and teardown is pretty fast.
All of my setups are fairly quick and easy. I won't lie, to tear down. It takes me roughly, if I rush through it all and build up a good sweat, I get everything torn apart and ready to walk out the door in 45 minutes, roughly. And, you brought up a great point. Venues are trying to cut, costs with staff. But if you are entering into or a part of this industry as a venue manager or venue owner, you need to realize that this is part of the cost of doing business. That different DJs and, every different vendor does things differently. And in order to be amicable to everyone you work with, those rules have to have some give and take, along with the understanding that, yeah, you're in this business to make money, but this is an expense that has to go with your venue. It is payroll. And trying to cut it, the only people you're cutting down on are the people that are booking your venue.
Yep. And I always believe, hey, you know what? All you need is three people, to close up. Okay. So your last three people are doing your final cleanup. You get your other staff out earlier and, give an hour, at least an hour for a DJ or band to get out. Again, they're in there 3-4 hours. That's totally different, but at least give them an hour and 15 minutes. Say, hey, everyone wants to go home. Everybody's done. Hey, you could basically, most places usually give an hour for a takedown afterwards. Okay, fine, great. No problem. Usually we're out there before that. But the thing is that when I get places that say you have 30 minutes for teardown, we've run into that, Tracy. I've run into that. So, Dwayne, have you run into a place saying, hey, you only have a short time for teardown or for setup? And what is your normal time for setup? What do you usually look for?
Yeah, I got mines down to about 40 minutes, give or take a few minutes, because when I first started, it took forever. Took way over an hour because I was bringing a table, a scrim, a facade, tripods, speakers, scrims for the tripods, a whole bunch of lights that I had to use the old clamps and all that. But now I try to condense everything where I got the DJ booth, the table where you just plop it open. It's just two pieces that you put together, and column arrays, which will only take moments to do. So I can do it real quick. And then it also depends on what kind of event it is. If it's one of those things where like sometimes at my school or a backyard event where presentation doesn't matter, I can do it within a few minutes. Just throw stuff and get it up. But if I have to be out by a certain time, then I usually start taking things down that I really don't need, and then I end up just throwing stuff in the big cases, and I just have to deal with the taking care of the mess when I get home. But I try to preset and take pretty much everything, only the things I really need, so setup can also be quicker too, and then bring in a couple of extra wires. So, but it comes down to this planning. So if I can plan, then I can get it done in about 40 minutes tops.
Okay. Jeff, what about you? What's your normal setup time, and what do you do when you run into a venue that says, hey, you have a short window, an hour for setup or half hour for takedown? What do you do then?
Yeah, my setup is, I can do 1, 2, or 3 hour setups depending on, the amount of equipment that I bring. 3 is on the far outside. I mean, even a 3 hour setup, I can usually knock it out in 2.5 hours. That's a full setup with multiple subs and, big lighting setup. The quick and easy is an hour. I can do it in 30, 40 minutes, probably, just sound and a table. If it's an outdoor event during the day, no lighting. Yeah, I mean, you run into that. It's understandable. It's like we're talking about, so the venues, they've got to cover their costs. And some of the bigger venues, they've been burned by some DJs coming in with 120 feet of truss and they're hanging line arrays and sure, that's gonna, it's like a concert. You're gonna need, and I've seen some YouTube videos of I'm not gonna name any names, but these people, they come in the day before and set up. That most venues are not going to allow that. They're not going to accept that. These are big. I think most of those are usually like homecoming or proms, like at the school, that allow them to come in and set up in the gym or that type of thing. Most venues that make their money on turnover, they're not going to allow that. If they do, they're going to charge big time for it. So, some of the medium venues, they've probably have been burned by some DJs coming in, pulling a trailer and just bringing a ton of stuff. And even though with 2 guys, it takes 2 to 4 hours of setup. I've seen that, and God knows how long it takes to tear down. And if you're a venue manager and you're just I guess you could hire somebody as cheaply as possible to be there during those hours. And I've run into a situation where the venue manager is just like, hey, I'm going to open it up for you. I'm going back home. I'll be back in an hour and a half, or something like that, and they trust you, they may know you or know that you've worked there before. And that's fine. As long as you get in and can get done what you need to get done and troubleshoot any potential problems, that's all you really need to do. Make sure the day goes well. So, yeah.
Okay. So Hunter, what about you? What's your normal setup time? And if a venue said, hey, you only have a short time for a setup and takedown, what do you do then?
Well, when I had my beginner setup, it was about an hour.
Hunter freaks out. That's what he does.
Yeah, it was an hour and a half. But now that I've simplified my setup, it's about 5-10 minutes tops, and with my lights, it's probably 10 to 15 minutes. So it's kind of changed dramatically now that I've simplified my setup with the rock booth, my 2 JBLs, my 2 Ultimate Supports, and my 2 Wash X2s, and just something simple and basic for any kind of event. But when I had my Rock Par 50s, man, that was a pain in the butt. Having to set up, 8 Rock Pars with 2 lighting stands. That took an hour and a half. So I've kind of simplified my time. And when it comes to venues and their strict times, I've never really experienced that. They've been super chill, laid back. They allow me as much time as I can to set up and tear down, because that's how we are in South Carolina. We're super chill, laid back.
You're lucky. You guys are lucky. The one thing is that I can see why And again, I have one. I have a gig bar move for one venue because I can't do uplighting there. And the line arrays that I used, you can't attach lights to it. So I use the gig bar move at one venue, and I understand why guys use those for a lot of events because they are quick for put up. They throw a decent amount of light out there. You need to know what you're doing, how to set up right so it looks halfway decent. But when you can put a setup like what Matt has or what Jeff has or what I normally do or Brentley does or what Dwayne does or what you do a cool thing, you need some time to set those lights. You need time to do everything. Make sure everything looks really, really good and not in people's eyes, not blinding grandma, not making grandma deaf, stuff like that. And it takes time. And that's one thing is that just like you guys, I run into that every so often. A venue manager saying, no, you only have so much time to come in. Again, the last event we did, we had the flip. We only had Tracy and I only had like an hour to set up. It wasn't a huge setup, but still, the two of us working together, we got done in about 35 minutes, 40 minutes, because it's not too nothing crazy. But the thing is that's the other thing is also having an employee. If I get into a situation, which I have before, we bring our employee in, say, okay, fine and great. You need to help out because we need to move very quickly out of this venue or into this venue. We have a short time, and it happens. Venue managers are, again, they're trying to do what's best for their venue, but some venue managers are very, very frugal for hours, and they don't want to spend the money on staff and don't want to have staff members there to work beyond their time they feel it's best for them.
What I'll do is sometimes if they're like that uppity about it, we'll say, okay, do you need us like, because 95% of the time, if it's like a limited thing, they just need you outside so they can lock the doors within that hour or 40 minutes or whatever it is. So as long as we get all our stuff outside, don't worry about putting it in the car. Let's just put the covers on it, throw it in the cases, get it outside. They can lock up and we could take our time loading it in the car. That's another option.
The one nice thing that you don't have to worry about, like I have to do here, is, or what Brentley does or Dwayne does, is rain and snow. Even Jeff has to deal with a little bit of rain and snow and cool thing. That's one nice thing with you in California. You're at, you don't get as much rain as we do or snow. So that's always a difficult one to put stuff outside. If it's inclement weather, you don't want your gear out there, soaking up the lovely moisture falling from the sky.
Yeah, I thought I had that option for the wedding I did in October. So I knew they said I had to be out by a certain time, so I figured I can just throw everything on my cart and leave it outside. But then I wasn't thinking because it was on like one of those what do you call it, the park grounds, one of those big huge park grounds where they lock a gate at a certain time. But they not the police, but the camp officer. Yeah, they was pretty good about giving me those few extra times because I just thought I could just leave it outside and I'd be cool. But no, she was ready to lock the gate. Good thing I caught her before she locked in. I was just locked in.
Oh, yes. I gotta say, it's been an hour. You guys, as always, rock everything out. I appreciate everyone here. Appreciate everyone out there watching. Thank you all for having a fun time with us this evening. We want to wish you all a happy and safe Thanksgiving coming up. You're watching this after Thanksgiving, unless you're here live. If you're not here live, why are you not here live watching this on Twitch? That's a question. And don't forget to click that like, subscribe, the bell icon, and everything down below on YouTube. We appreciate it. Again, all the links are down below for everyone. With that said, Hunter, take us out.
We'll see you guys later. Peace out.